and his wives or women are his. They are mine, he said. And he doesn't allow them to talk to other men, only to their family, to team members, or him. And it shows how massively sick Andrew Tate is in his head. He literally sees women as his property. He's basically living an animalistic mm, modus operandi. He doesn't understand. Imagine a woman. I mean, that just says that the women that are with him are very low self-esteem, and they need him um to take care of that low self-esteem. I've never heard something more disgusting by, sexist men, but I'd say this is probably the worst thing that I've ever heard. And I have to say something like, women don't agree with this. No woman agrees. The only women that accept this and accept and tolerate is not agree. This is a huge difference. Some women accept or tolerate it. They tolerate it because they are so traumatized. I've seen this in my sessions, like as a tantra masseur, having done over 1,000 sessions with women. I know this to be a fact. I know this to be true. A lot of women stay in toxic relationships because they feel they don't have the self empowerment or the strength to be on their own. Lack of self esteem, lack of knowledge, lack of competence, whatever. And those women then seek out somebody like Andrew Tate because they kind of outsource their incapability or their faults kind of, or their what they're missing to the man. And that never creates a really happy relationship. It creates a codependency relationship. So I would guess the way when Andrew Tate tweeted this, it was clear to me that he has only toxic relationships. And I'm pretty sure even the women would defend this, but here's something interesting. A lot of codependency relationships, the victim defends the perpetrator for a long time. And they defend them for as long until they become conscious of what's really going on. And it might take a long time. They might be in the relationship 10, 15, 20 years and then realize, what the fuck have I been doing? And it usually changes by a change in consciousness where you realize, I've wasted my life for this idiot. And I think now to to wake up to that with a background, that Andrew Tate is really rich, can be very hard for these women because it would mean to forfeit or to give up all of the richness, which a lot of these Eastern women that probably he has around him, like Czech women, Romanian women, Slovak women, that's probably the women that Andrew Tate has. They lack, you see, they're not in a traditional relationship. They're not in a traditional relationship with Andrew Tate. What they are in is in a codependency relationship. I'm from Prague. I'm from Czech Republic. I know Eastern women, and I know them very well. And I would say that, for example, Czech women, they're looking for the regular, nice husband and wife, kids and house, maybe a dog relationship, on the weekends drive to see the grandparents, that kind of relationship. But then there are traumatized Czech women that are kind of like going a little bit in the gold digger direction, but they're not that many. It's not typical for the Czech woman. But that's where basically Andrew Tate and his brother have been fishing. They've been fishing in the clubs, in the Eastern European clubs, in the bars, and that's what they got. They got the optically they got the tens of tens, but in reality they have toxic relationship. And the thing is that Andrew Tate doesn't care because he's a narcissistic perpetrator. He really doesn't care how he treats them. He thinks that protecting them by not allowing them to do certain things, and at the same time giving them money is a true relationship. This is where he's completely mistaken. This is not a true relationship. This is a codependency, toxic relationship. But because there are two people who are highly unaware, the perpetrator and the victim, they're basically allowing it to happen. And everybody knows this. It can go for a long, 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 long time. The difference here is, and that's where people become a little bit like tolerant. There's a lot of wind. Give me a second. The reason some people are tolerant of this is because of the gaslighting, and also because there's so much success involved, and because there is, it seems like, I'm not sure, I cannot say for sure, but there seems to be like no domestic violence, and but I could be wrong, I don't know Andrew Tate. There could be, maybe there's no domestic violence, right? But there's psychological violence. So there's not the physical violence in terms of like hitting someone, but there's the emotional violence. And the emotional violence is just even having the idea that another human being is worth less than you are. You see, and I'm not joking about this when I say this. When you flaunt your wealth, when you flaunt your wealth and you have a lot of it, you can get tons of chicks nowadays. It's nothing special. Andrew Tate is making it like it's something special. It's not. You can have tons of them, and they can be even like nice superficially. I know a sugar babe from Barcelona. She wanted to travel with me, and it was clear that, if I had taken with her with me, she would have, stayed with me for forever. Yeah. But the thing is, like, when you're a conscious being, you know what the relationship is about. And unless you're super ignorant, and that's what Andrew Tate is, he's totally ignorant. And of course you could say that you could have a relationship type that says, okay, I do my thing, you do your thing, you have my child, but we don't really live together, and I just support you financially. That's like a new relationship type, you could say. But the idea, and that's the tweet, the idea that she belongs to him is absolutely wrong. And I think that any woman who reads this, what he posted, I think any woman who reads that, what he posted, is, if she has any self worth, the least amount of self worth, even if she were, that's the thing, like, these women don't want to work. That's why they stay with him. That's because the moment they break up with him, they have to care for themselves. And the women know that, Eastern Europe reality is harsh. So he's in effect abusing his source of power for women that are fearful of standing on their own, basically. You could say it this way. And I was really shocked to read this tweet. I assumed, he sometimes he gaslight. I mean, he's literally building his own prison, because he gaslighted people into thinking he's not that bad, and now he puts out a tweet like that. It's just obvious what he's saying. And that's why the women that worked for him in the webcam business, why they had the property of Tate tattoo, because that's literally what he's thinking. Women are his property. And while some people, here's something also very important. There is a big difference between a fetish, that like a sexual fetish that you want to live out, and and the reality of true emotions. So I'm saying there's a big difference. For example, if you have a partner and you play, BDSM, for example, and you play a little bit of BDSM just for fun, and then you drop it and you have a normal relationship. And it's very different from someone who's so traumatized that BDSM is need for constant living out of a trauma. So what I'm saying is Tate is constantly living out a trauma with these women, and it's not just like a temporary idea that he has. And that's a big difference. So some women might find it attractive when he says they're my property, they belong to me. But what they don't realize is that he means it serious in the sense like all the time. You're literally his property. And to be honest, it's very, very stupid of him, and very I I don't think he's as smart as he thinks he is, because it's probably the stupidest thing that he could do while he's in full trial in front of the court. Because, people will just, I mean, there's no reason to purposefully upset people. And just because Romania is protecting Tate, in the sense like from the rest of the Western world and how it evolved, doesn't mean it will always go well for him. And I'm really surprised how stupid he is saying that right now. I mean, I know he's an idiot, but I didn't know he's that much of an idiot. So I was surprised to read that, especially because right now they should make sense of it and be realize we're in a precarious situation being in front of the court. Why would I say something like that right now? You want to keep the ball really low. A friend of mine thinks he will go to jail, by the way. I'm not so sure because he's been out now for a while, and I think in terms of like being able to move freely, and I could imagine that he used his money to for corruption in Romania, and so I think he will get out. I think because they already tried while they were in jail, if I remember correctly, to pay some people off. So I think they will try to do this now, and they have so much resources they can use. Like, think about it. What not only millions, but even hundreds of thousands mean to Romanian people. It's absolutely insane. So I think he will be able to do some stuff there. Wouldn't be surprised. Um, and the Americans have so much to do at home now. There's so much chaos. I don't think they even have time to put pressure on Romania that much. So it's my guess. And you know what's horrible? He's just a consequence. I mean, there's lots of Tates in the world. There are literally tons of Tates. Some have more money, some have less money, some are not as public as he is. But there are tons of Tates. Just from the type of person he is, he's a very simple person. And what was I gonna say? Um, what I find horrible, that's what I wanted to say. I find horrible that okay, he's a consequence. Yeah, I can't believe I used to think about Tate in a positive way. Totally see him for what he is now. Yeah, it changed a lot. Like, plus, let's not forget something else. The whole problem is misunderstood. And Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate are both surfaced in about the same time. Jordan Peterson a little bit sooner, because Jordan Peterson surfaced because he had a problem with the leftists, with the gender people. Andrew Tate surfaced because all the young men have a problem with women. And I think there is a strong misunderstanding, and it's completely. I think this is what's wrong about this whole thing, and that shows how stupid Tate is. You see, the problem is not, and he's younger than me. Tate is 10 years younger than me almost, so he's a little bit different generation. But I mean, he's in Germany it says proletariat. He's like from the lower class, and you notice it in how he sees the world, and it's not changing in him. He's reflective enough to realize that. But by the way, me too. I don't come from, I didn't have his horrible upbringing, right? But or his lack of parents, basically. I didn't have that because I have Czech parents. And Czech parents usually it's more traditional, I guess. But anyway, so the women changed. Let me get the causality right. So the women changed, men became frustrated, they didn't know how to get pussy, and suddenly Andrew Tate surfaces and tells them, I tell you how to get pussy. The problem is, Tate is signaling how to get low value pussy because all the other pussy is either taken or feminist or so emancipated that they don't accept other men. And those are the women that become 30 plus, have their career, but they really don't have a man. There's so many 30 plus women, some bunkered in some office, doing their job behind a desk, which needed a PhD, doctorate, or a master or bachelor or whatever, and they think that's a life, and they wonder why they can't find anyone. The men are sitting at home playing computer games or having some shitty job. They don't know what to do to get pussy because Tinder is just bullshit. Nobody wants to talk to you anymore on the street. Like you go to a supermarket, everybody has like, earphones on. You can't even speak to people. Like I said, I spoke to five guys in the last week. Four guys. 4 or 5 guys the last week. Everybody super nice. Some younger, some older, all single men. Everybody was open to speaking. And then I met two women, three actually. One was just a hello. She goes on. She just like passes by. There's no conversation. Another one just hello, passes by, no conversation. And the third one just had headphones on and couldn't hear me. So how are you going to have any kind of meaningful conversation? The women don't even want to anymore because there's many things behind this. Women are super afraid now. They think everybody is a rapist. Basically, everyone who's not young and good looking is a rapist. Every single woman believes that now. They literally believe that shit. Like, they might not say it, but you say how they react. Like, I'm bald. I'm a little bit older now. I'm not so tall. I see how they react. They just don't give a fuck. You can't even have a normal conversation unless she's 50 plus and she still has that old traditional mentality. And then you notice in women that are 50 plus that speak to me, oh, they wish they would have met somebody like me, because they probably had a divorce and now they're looking for a nice guy, all of this stuff. The young women, they just want the toxic guy. Basically just want the toxic guy because he, like Jordan Peterson says, pat mm, what do you call them, psychopath. They fake competence. C'est vrai, on a peur. Oui, c'est ça. So they are afraid because it's being pushed also in the media all the time, and the women read the media. Think about the woman in Madrid that where the guy had the phone, the married Colombian woman, where she that was just getting a divorce, where she just vanished in Madrid, and people read that all over Spain, all over the U.S., and then they're afraid of people speaking to people on the street, and then the frustration also in the women gets higher. They get upset about men, then they get drunk, fuck the wrong guy, and the whole thing starts again. And just then she has like sex with tons of guys. At a certain age, she's like, no more one night stands. And then she expects the new guy that she's meeting, to be like a friend first. And then she decides, okay, he's just in the friend zone, and the whole spiel starts again. So it's completely bullshit. The whole thing is completely fucked. But I think as an observer of this whole thing is, and the older I get, the more conscious I get, the more I see it. It's not the men that have changed. It's literally not the men that have changed. It's the women and their expectations and their fear has changed. That fucked up the young generation of men. Then they seek quick solutions, which is basically the Tate type of solution. I say quick solution because not because it's quick in the sense you can quickly have it. I mean quick in the sense it's like the easiest answer to the problem, but it's the wrong answer because what actually men like me want is a different woman. They don't want. I could easily. I'm telling you guys. I just because of spiritual awakening I decided not to, but I could easily start to try to get millions, become famous, and as Andrew Tate, I'm not dumb in that sense. Like I could probably, probably I could copy his success. I mean, now he's really big, but his previous success, I could copy it maybe like 50% and just do exactly the same thing. Of course, I'm not older and it's a different, vibe and energy, but in theory, okay, I have the capacity to do that. But, and now comes the thing is, and this is what I want to get across, I would attract exactly the type of women that he's attracting. Maybe not the tens of tens, maybe the eight of tens, or the ones that are a little bit smaller but still good looking, blah blah blah. Not the model type of toxic women. By the way, they're not even that beautiful, the Tate women. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, have you ever seen one of the Tate women? They're like really ugly, gold diggers with, buttocks, lips, and stuff like that. Like none of, but like I said, he's from the lower class. He cannot date a higher class woman. No, maybe they're even fatherless, these women, because which father of these women would accept somebody like Andrew Tate? No one, you know. So so that's not the solution. And here's the problem. It's a dilemma. There is no solution. It's not a problem, it's a dilemma. And a dilemma doesn't have a solution. That's the problem. That's the real problem here. A dilemma doesn't have a solution, and this is a dilemma. The women have changed. I met a nice girl in Valencia in town, 18 years old, nice personality. I'm 28. I think maybe we get wrapped up in age too much. Don't know if it makes sense. I hear what you're saying though. No, no, no. I'm not saying I'm too old. Don't get me wrong. But by the way, as a 45-year-old trying to get an 18-year-old, I mean, you're just having 10 years difference, which in Spain is nothing. In Spain 10, 50 years difference is nothing. But we're not talking about over 20 years difference, so that's like more like 27 years difference. So did I calculate that right? Yes. Oh my God, that's 27 years difference. So and you as a 28-year-old, you can be very attractive for an 18-year-old. By the way, this is a generalization that is of course never true in all cases, right? I don't know you, I don't know her, I cannot comment on it. I'm just saying it's a general observation of what I'm seeing about most people. And just because you met an 18-year-old girl doesn't mean it's relationship material or that it works out or something. Maybe it works out for like a year or half a year, and that's that. So an eight, yeah, I've internet. Yeah, 36, 20-year-old is absolutely normal. But realize that these women, until they get around other women the same age, and they start to exchange of information, which in Spain is not that horrible. In Germany, in France, is much worse. But I know as a 45-year-old, I can be with a 25-year-old Spanish girl. I know. Um, but the thing is, okay, I'm super special. In the sense like for me, just any girl doesn't work. Otherwise, it would probably be no problem. Like I had some contact with Latinas and stuff, but it's not really what I want. So I mean I want a Latina, but not these really simple-minded girls. I just don't see it. Um, Also because they cannot really appreciate what I bring into the relationship. They can only appreciate, simple things like the monetary stuff and or, the I don't know. So, uh it's a dilemma because these young guys don't know what to do and they think the solution is through money and power and through bodybuilding. And is actually if there is a solution, it's actually being more conscious. And I have a fly here. I have to get rid of it. And at the same time, you want to have resource movability. Of course, you can't be without it because then you're not attractive at all. Uh, but you want to move in the higher vibration, absolutely. Because if you get stuck in the lower vibration, you're just gonna get bad codependency relationships if you're like Tate. So it's a dilemma. It's hard, and there's probably no solution for the majority of young men, and they will get very frustrated. Um, and I think it's pandemic, an epidemic, pandemic. It's a pandemic because it's literally happening everywhere. And the only guys that I don't see frustrated are literally the guys that are so good looking, interesting for whatever reason, because they constantly have girls. For them, it's not. There's some guys for them it's not difficult. For example, there was a guy, I think it was on Twitter or something. I saw a guy that's posted that I don't even have to try. The less I try, the more girls there are. And another guy said for me it's the same. For me it isn't. And most guys that I see that they either have it or they don't. And most guys don't. And unless your standards are so low, I mean, that's the thing. You can have super, super low standards, and then, of course, you get your sex. But is that a relationship you want? So, yeah. By the way, there was a woman. I don't give her too much credibility because I saw her YouTube, but there was a woman under one of my videos. She commented, about my new relationship type that I was talking about, and she misunderstood what I was saying in the sense like that I'm using the women. It's not true. It's not true because if you communicate very clearly upfront what you want and you don't lie, you don't falsify, nothing, and the woman says the same thing and she's like, wow, that sounds good. And then you're actually having a good time. Who's abusing who? Nobody's abusing anyone. Two adults coming together that agree on something. There's absolutely no use using the other. She was just projecting basically. And yeah, I'm sure as this problem or dilemma develops and it's becoming kind of obvious in our society, I'm sure I'll talk about it more, and maybe one day I'll have a solution for this. But right now, I feel like the likelihood of me finding a high quality woman without, signaling, no, it's just improbable. It's just highly unlikely. There's like no way. The interesting thing is that on Tinder, I see sometimes women that I would say, okay, maybe this one, but I never get matched from them back. So maybe I see sometimes normal women, and the reason is because they have extremely high expectations. I don't mean to sound like a boomer, but maybe going to a place like a church or something similar. Um, I'm I'm not. I met a couple of Christian women, And I'm too much into tantra and these energies to have a Christian woman because they are very protective of their kind of like this type of stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't trust those energies and stuff like that," and I believe in Jesus and stuff like that. That doesn't work with me. It's just no chance. For me personally, probably the only place I could meet a sensible woman was doing my own, non-duality retreats or going to non-duality retreats, which for both of it I don't have a plan right now. So yeah, I'll get back to this topic. Super interesting, especially for young men, how to deal with this. But also older men, they have the same problem. It's literally a universal problem now. Um, but not. I mean, Buddhist temples just have men, so that's not doable. I give you an example. This woman that is here on the beach, right? She's. I'm gonna turn around the camera. So in this house that you're seeing right now, there's a woman that every day, not today though, no, she's not here on the weekend. Um, she does yoga every day. Okay, and I have tantra van, huge on my van, so she 100% saw that. She saw me a couple of times talking to people here, being super nice, having great conversations, and she looked often over here. But she never passed by. I mean, if she would have been just a little bit interested, she could have passed by here on the beach and started a conversation with me. Never happened. And of course, I'm not gonna go over there and speak over the wall into her house. That's kind of like her private place. But she could have passed by here easily, direction beach. And that's the thing, like, and she saw me doing yoga as well, doing fitness and stuff. And she's probably 27, 28. My guess is I cannot really see it from here. And she totally seems single. And it's kind of weird uh, that, it's like I'm pretty sure if I were taller, better good looking, and just had that kind of exuded a certain, vibe with the looks, not just the vibe, but with the looks, she would have passed by here or some other woman. I mean, it's literally extreme. I believe right now, and I'm just gonna say it like it is. I believe right now women are massively superficial. If you don't have hair, a little bit shorter, you can forget it. You have like no fucking chance. And in the past, I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to believe it, but now I'm 100% sure. The only difference now is that now it doesn't undermine my self worth anymore because I have my own self worth. But in general, I would say this is what it is like right now. And unless it's a woman that can see beyond that, you're chewing too much on this. Maybe not think in terms of that. I understand the frustration. No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I'm chewing too much on that. I disagree with you completely. You see, people who don't have this problem, they don't understand it. Like there's so many men they don't understand it. Like the guy yesterday that with whom I had, or was it 2 days ago? Was it yesterday? I don't remember. The guy with the surfing. He's tall. He's extremely extrovert. He has a girlfriend. It's obvious that other women are also interested in him. It's just a totally different ball game. And I remember, for example, I had a job once in an office. Everybody was fucking in that office, kind of like, except me. No woman was after me. Literally no woman. And everybody, the men were like, hey, fucked her, and blah blah blah. It's when you don't have the problem, you don't understand it, and it has nothing to do with chewing too much on this, whatever. Uh, Letting it go for a while is easy, but because we are biological beings, this kind of like sticks with you. Even Mooji is fucking his concubines and his students. Wishing you a day filled with joy, peace, and spiritual abundance. May your journey be blessed with positivity and harmony. Your presence brings light to those around you, and I'm grateful to meet you. Thank you very much. That sounds very chat GPT like. um, I don't think that somebody really understands the frustration. I don't think people really understand. Um, and I think that's also where incels have a lot of problems with it. I mean, it's the same thing as an incel, basically. I mean, I've been 5 years single without sex. 5 years single without sex, any intimacy at all. And just because I let it go, I stopped trying and I let it go. And I was the way that I'm always, you know. So I think for me, if I mean, I have to think about different perspectives: the perspective of the regular woman, the perspective of the regular guy, and then the perspective of me. And those are, of course, three different perspectives. And then, of course, special people also, very good looking ones, very ugly ones, blah blah blah. But for me personally, I think it only makes sense to go to a country where women naturally find me attractive. Be it, Asia or whatever. But in Europe, forget about it. I mean, literally forget about it. And and like I said, let's not forget, um, with 135 IQ and all of this other shit, I don't match with a regular woman. There's like no way. And I find it actually pretty disgusting in a way that anytime I signal money, which I hate doing, but anytime I signal money, all the women are interested. Like, I give you the example. And that's it's absolutely fucking crazy. Guys, if I have my hoodie on and I feel really great, lovely day, I go into the city, have no hat on, just like this, okay? I'm feeling really great. I don't look like homeless or whatever. I'm just like I have a great day, right? And I go somewhere, everybody ignores me. Everybody. I mean, from the women now. Okay? And then if I take my fat bike, just the same dress the same way with my fat bike, because everybody assumes the fat bike is like €4 or something, which is not. It's actually a pretty good one, but it looks very expensive, sometimes even more expensive than 4,000 for some people. Everybody starts looking. The women are like, oh, he's interesting and stuff like that. I hate that. It's so fucking disgusting. It just signals basically that they're all whores. It's literally that. And it literally works like that. That's why Tate is doing that, because it literally works, and it works better than ever. If you signal money, you get all the women. It's crazy. It's so fucking crazy. And some men don't care who they get. Just they need their ego validation to get someone. That's what I said from before. If I know the woman is only interested in money, why would I have a serious relationship with her? I would fuck her, maybe impregnate her, but I would never want a serious relationship with her where we live literally in the same house. I wouldn't want that. But then I think in one case Andrew Tate may be right. Maybe we're not supposed to actually live in the same house. Maybe the man is supposed to do his manly things, and the woman is just supposed to be like then a mother and take care of the children, and you just provide the financials, but you hardly ever see them, maybe a little bit like your children or something. You're not really divorced or something, but you're kind of living separately in a way. And I think nowadays, the way the world is going, that's probably the best solution. But then you have to accept that you will never have a real partner. It's not like you're living together with a real partner. And then the question is like, are you really enjoying your life if you don't have that? I personally love to have a partner that I spend a lot of time with, that we laugh together and just enjoy our time, kind of like a friend friend and partner. And yeah, I think it's an interesting problem, and my life has been filled with this kind of experience. So I have firsthand knowledge about this in a lot of ways. Um, and women are tremendously superficial, looks and money. It's basically just looks and money. It's tremendously superficial. So if I were doing tantra massages, and I have a sports car, parked in front of the house where I'm doing them, and I live in a nice villa, you can be 100% sure that women will try to enter into a relationship with me that are coming for the massages, and they'll seriously question their own relationships. But if they come into a small apartment, and I'm even if I give them the best sexual experience, like in terms of like massage or whatever, there's more after that. They might love it, and they might be like, "Oh, my partner is shit in bed," but they'll be like, no, he has no money. Like, what am I gonna do with him in this small apartment? Like, live with him in the small apartment? He doesn't even have a car. He has the small car. My guy at home has more. Even though the intimacy with her man obviously sucks, as an example. Les femmes sont tellement blessées par le narcissique. Je pense que ça n'a rien à voir avec vous. Vous êtes beau. Merci beaucoup. I think she's saying that that women are, narcissists or have become narcissists, and that it's not really the problem with me, that I'm good or okay. That's the thing. That's literally the thing. Is I know for a fact. I know for a fact I'm an extremely good boyfriend, and I think that I'm probably one of the best boyfriends a girl could have. That's my thinking. But I know the fuck what women react on, and I cannot deliver what they're thinking in something completely else, which is not whether you're a good boyfriend or not. You see, I give you an example. I was with a girl together, Antje, and Antje was highly sensitive. She was even in some cases more sensitive than I am. And she was able to see the past of people if she touched them, all of this stuff. And in the beginning, it was a very interesting relationship. I felt really great. She felt really great. We weren't that long together, but we then moved together to Mallorca. And she had a child, though, and that became a little bit problematic, but that's not the main issue. Once, I literally, fuck this, guys. Fuck this. Fuck this. Get this. So you understand me. And I'm going to talk about my ex-girlfriend also. She did the same thing. You really have to understand where I'm coming from with this. Antje said, when you have this high-pitched voice, which I sometimes do, and it's also my natural voice, like when I speak like this, like a little bit higher, not like, but like a little bit higher like this, okay? Sometimes I speak like this. When I speak Spanish, I speak a little bit higher, so I speak like this. Antje tells me it's fucking annoying, and she says it's highly unattractive, and she basically is starting to lose sexual interest in me because I'm speaking high voice. She's trying to manipulate me into speaking the way she prefers. Okay, hold on. Now, my last ex-girlfriend, we were sitting in Cabreton in southwest France. I pay for everything. We go out, which I don't have a problem with, by the way. I love paying for everything. I don't have a problem with this. That's not the point. We are having a great time, doing some other stuff, blah blah blah. And then we sit down in a cafe, and I'm saying something, I don't remember what. I use my hands in some way, and she's like, "Hey, that really looks gay." And she really believed it, and she's literally losing interest in real time because I'm not behaving the way she finds it interesting, that she finds. And that's what I'm saying. The women are totally fucked in their brain, because imagine I would critique in real time. I would critique my girlfriend in every, 10th thing that she does, I don't find this attractive. It's complete insanity. And then the male mind the male mind goes like, oh, okay, I agree, that's kind of like not attractive, and then you start to change your behavior in order to fit the women so you stay attractive, when it's literally not your natural behavior. It's totally insane. And this is something that has happened all of my life. All of my life, literally every woman tried to do this or did this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because there is an assumption. No, I tell you this way. You know what? You know what the real background for this is? Is I'm not afraid to tell you my self-centered truth, because I really don't give a fuck whether the relationship lasts or not. This is what really is behind this. It's literally a woman that is not truly in love will say something that hurts you because in reality, deep down, she doesn't care whether the relationship holds or not. And that's the reason they do it. So and it's not a shit test, by the way. This is not a shit test. And this goes way deeper than that. So my understanding is, from what I've seen in this world, is if you want to be really red pilled and very superficial, flaunt your wealth, signal your resource moving ability, fuck the girl and leave. That's basically, if she gets pregnant, you support her financially, and that's it. That's literally how it works right now. That's literally how it works. Don't expect as a guy to have a normal relationship anymore. That's kind of what I'm seeing. No, I'm not upset. I'm enjoying also the conversation, of course. What's your background quickly? I'm basically well, I was born in Prague. I'm self-taught. I'm a very autodidact in pretty much everything, self-taught in a lot of things. I learned 7 programming languages on my own. I speak 5 languages, like normal languages. And then I was a techno producer, had the second largest techno website, did some other stuff on the internet, was a long time programmer also for different companies, and then freelance for a long time, and eventually had a spiritual awakening, and started with tantra massages and did a few years tantra massages. Then I let that go and became a van lifer, constantly on the road, basically. Kind of sad if you think about it. um, Depends from which angle you look at it. But I never had a relationship for a very long time, and it wasn't really my fault. It was more like that the women tried. The women didn't act really lovingly to me in a way, and then I decided to end the relationship. Basically, that's how it always was. I recognize when women lost interest, and before it escalated, I just cut the relationship. So I was, for example, I was let's say with a girl that I really liked when I was 31. I thought she's like the one. Basically, it was clear over time that she's not really in love. She just liked the attention, whatever, the sex, whatever, and yeah. And then when I once went out with her to a hotel for relaxation, um she kind of didn't even look at me really. She looked at other people more, and I realized she's not in love at all, where I was already fully in love. And then I decided, even though it hurts, I have to cut. And women, by the way, will never outright say it. They'll just keep losing interest. And if you're not a sensitive guy, you don't recognize it. So, but if you're highly sensitive like me, I literally sense when they're losing interest, and maybe they're already then fucking another guy or seeing another guy or chatting with another guy you don't know. And then eventually someone will find the door in, fuck them, and then they're lost anyway. Then you're basically then she's cheating on you and you're accepting the cheating relationship, because you're so ignorant that you don't even know it. But I sense disinterest at a certain point anyway, and before it escalates then into real cheating and real problems, I just cut basically. That's how I go about it. Um and most women are not capable of real open communication anyway. It's a myth that women are so good in communication. Total myth. I would say even they're sometimes worse because they're not direct, and they don't have the guts to sometimes speak about things directly. And but it's a skill. It's definitely a skill to have open, clear communication in the relationship, and just say how it is and how you want it, and go from there. But women will sometimes hide their true feelings, and just like try to avoid, any confrontation, and then it escalates, sometimes. I never fought in my relationships. When a girl started screaming on me, the relationship was immediately gone. It was immediately done for. And you know what I think it really comes down to? I think what it really comes down to is women are actually. This is gonna sound horrible, but you will understand it once I say this. They're basically just childbirthing machines. They're not interested in a relationship. I don't feel like women are really interested in a relationship. I feel like a woman wants a guy that can, as fast as possible, when she decides on him for whatever reason. Okay, he's a nice resource mover, he's strong, blah blah blah, whatever. He has money. She wants to get pregnant from him. The moment she accepts his dick, she wants to get pregnant from him. Okay? So when that works out, she's happy, he supports financially, but it's not really a relationship. She's just pregnant, basically. And that's what it's there for. And if you're in a relationship with a woman and you wait for too long and you don't, for example, you have, what do you call it? Anti-conception. You have like, you try not to have children, so you use like condoms, whatever, the pill, so forth. I think what's really happening is that the woman is becoming frustrated that she's not getting pregnant. I think that's I think that's the subtext of most frustrated relationships, modern relationships, because the men are taking forever to impregnate the woman. The woman doesn't have the time. So when she's meeting, let's say a guy, he's 23, he's 25, whatever, and he's taking his time, like 10 years or 5 years, sometimes 10 years, is like, I don't know if I want children or not. She's actually deep down getting frustrated, unless he's signaling so much what she wants that she accepts to be with him. But let's say a guy like me, who's not that interesting on the like the attractiveness scala, on the attractiveness, barometer. Uh, if I don't impregnate her immediately, she'll get kind of like frustrated and start to look for other guys. It just happens unconsciously, and she'll be like, he's not manly enough anyway. Other men are more manly. And I mean, this has been a problem for me a long time, that I'm not as manly as other men. That's just obvious. Like that's totally obvious. And a lot of times the way I talk on YouTube, which is probably comes off a little bit more assertive and manly than if I'm in real life. That's at least my ex-girlfriend told me also, that I'm totally different in real life than I'm on YouTube. That I'm way too soft in a way, but that's just the way I am, right? It's just the way I am. I cannot change who I am, who I truly am deep down. It's just who I am. And And I'm not that subjective. I'm pretty objective in understanding these things. Like I look at myself from the outside, you could say, and I literally see the truth, the objective truth of what the others are perceiving. So it's not like I'm living in this illusion of what I think that I am. I think I pretty much understand how others see me. And but that doesn't mean I need to change. It just means that I'm very aware of it. And I realize that most women just don't find me attractive, the way I act, the way I use my hands, the way I talk, the way I whatever. And even my face, like it's a typical Slavic face in a way, because it doesn't have very strong masculine features on. And then there's some guys, I like these extremes, like the Conor Murphy, who are trying to optimize their masculinity. And there's so many men that are trying to do this right now. They're optimizing their masculinity. But this is really who I am. This is what I look like. This is how I was born. I'm not going to fucking change my face or my body in order to fit some fake uh need of muscular, image or energy for women. Of course, then I have to deal with the consequence of not being attractive to women. That's just how it is. But to me it seems more sane to stay the way I am. And there's definitely cultures that would accept me better than what I am right now. But I think that there's some, I cannot talk about North America, but I think it's even worse there. But I think there's something about European culture right now in all of Europe where women are intensely dissatisfied. And the thing is, like, okay, guys, I was living in the same house. There was a girl below me in another apartment. She was Italian. She came from Italy. I think I told this story once. I don't know if here. Okay. And I said hi once, and we spoke for like an hour. And she starts to get like sad, and she says, I'm so alone, and I don't meet anyone. Blah 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 blah. Okay. And I sent her a message once, like over Telegram or WhatsApp, and I told her, hey, listen, it was a beautiful Sunday. It was nice outside, it was sunny, it wasn't too hot. And I was like, I sent her a text, and like, if you want, we can go. And she was at home. I was like, if you want, we can go 1 hour, 2 hours, take a walk and just get to know each other, just talk a little bit. No intention, really. Didn't even have intention to like have something with her. I just said, okay, let's just talk. And she something like no. She wasn't interested. She didn't find me attractive at all, and that's why she wasn't interested. She didn't even want friendship. That's the thing. Women are not even interested in friendships. That's so bizarre. Like either you're gay and then they want to have friendship with you, but they don't even want a friendship. So that's why I can't even get a normal conversation going with women. If they don't find you attractive, they don't want to be friends with you. Then they don't want you in their life at all. You could be the nicest person ever, have an open heart chakra. They're not interested. So, and then a little bit later, I found out because I heard it. So she and I saw it then when I was outside. She met a guy, very tall Italian guy, very masculine, not muscular in the sense, but like man type of guy, high testosterone kind of guy. They were fucking like crazy, maybe once or twice a week, and he would scream like crazy. You would hear it all over the house, and then but he never stayed over. He never stayed a little bit longer. Sometimes she would cook for him, but he would immediately leave. So it started to become obvious. I could hear everything. It was started to become obvious that he has another girlfriend or he's even married with children. And she was so stupid to believe that he's the love of her life, that they're gonna be together forever. And then she found out, he cut with her, and she became so frustrated that she, went back to Italy. And um and that's literally what I'm talking about. Like women are insanely bad in picking partners, and they just want the best ones, but those are taken, and it's totally insane, absolutely insane. Awakening happened with 37. By the way, awakening, and this is also interesting. Awakening did change my experience with relationships, but it didn't change women. It didn't change literally the women that I met. Kind of. I don't know how to explain it. Mm, the women sucked as much after awakening as they sucked before awakening. That's what I wanted to say. Except what was different from my side is I was much more tolerant of their idiocy. I know, for example, that one of the first girls that I met after awakening, she was 21, I was 37. I was 39, she was 21. And I know for a fact that she actually, well, for a fact, when is ever a fact unless you have it on video? I'm pretty sure she cheated on me once, but it was also the very ending of the relationship, so I don't care. And she was so stupid even to kind of confess to it in a way. Because in the morning she writes me like, "Oh, I cannot write you back because I forgot my." Well, I don't want to go into it. It doesn't matter. But uh, what was I gonna say? Is and she sucked as a girlfriend. She was just like bad. I have a very feminine energy, but present masculine, and happen to be very good looking. My mother was a model for Vogue. I have zero interest in women. Many women fall in love with me. It's a nuance. Nuance. This might support the notion that if you're completely uninterested, they would want you. I'm into guys, and remember, I think I'm translo. Yeah, I remember. Um, no, it's this whole idea. This is a very important red pill. I would even say a gold pill. This whole idea that if you're not interested in women, they come after you is absolute bullshit. It's just because you're good looking, basically. There's literally, I'm telling you from my experience, there were moments where I was not interested in women and nothing ever, and then that was for years after awakening. No chance. No woman was interested. It's always me that I had to do the effort. Otherwise, I would have been single like for my whole fucking life. It's literally like that. Is I don't get chased. It just doesn't happen. I was never hit on. Maybe once. I don't remember. I know there was once a time. I can't remember one, but I remember there was once a time. But I'm 45 years old. I was never hit on in my entire life by a woman. Never. No matter what age, no matter where I was. And over time you meet people and stuff. And um and interestingly enough, I always had the feeling that when women were a little bit more interested in me, like in a relationship also, I just felt that it's just because they find me attractive, not because they love me truly. Because for some types you are attracted naturally. Vous êtes vrai au milieu des hypocrites. It is a tough pill to swallow, but that's what it is. And I think this is kind of strange because for me this is literally strange. Like either you make it's like you have it's not a choice, but it's like you have two ways to attract as a man. Either you have a lot of money, which is a bad form of attraction, or you're good looking, which is a better form of attraction. Because if you're good looking and you hold the looks, it's in some form, then she kind of stays with you for a longer time. If you're just attractive by money, she stays with you for a very short time. Hey man, do you feel open to talking to a relationship coach? Just giving you ideas. I don't want you to be frustrated. I appreciate the content you share. I would be open to speak to someone who has tremendous competence and capability as a coach, but most don't. It's like a good-looking guy being a dating coach. You know this movie with Ryan Gosling where he's the dating coach? I mean, come on, it's fucking Ryan Gosling. And the other guy just looks like like a duck. I mean, the fuck. So, I'm open to it, but I would have to have a person that is even more competent than Jordan Peterson. Then I would be like, yeah, okay. Because what I don't want is waste my time with a coach that is just giving me bullshit ideas and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. This is the same thing like when I talk about the three main energies: procreation, survival, and awareness. Those are the three main forces in life. And and that's what my deepest understanding. And then some other deep understanding like toxic metaframing. And then other people like that don't even have this basic understanding, let's just say, and they'll try to explain to me how things work. And I'm like, hello? Maybe I do not. I've seen really ugly guys in big cities with stunning women in New York City. It's not about just looks. That's what I said. It's also about masculine, like, how do you, for example, there's this porn guy. A friend of mine sent me to him. He's very tall. He has a huge dick, and forget his name. And he has a weird name, but um he started to become spiritual or something, and he has like a telegram and stuff. And when you look at his telegram, there's lots of women that communicate with him, and he's really really ugly. Like he's really ugly, but he exudes the way he looks, exudes a lot of masculine energy. And here comes something super interesting. I find this so interesting. The more masculine you are and or pretend to be, it doesn't matter whether you are or you pretend to be, and the more you live this energy, the shorter you're going to live, because this energy is actually toxic for your energy system. The more feminine you are, the more feminine you act, the more you're in tune with your feminine energy, the longer you're going to live. And the paradox is that the guys who live healthier actually are less attractive to women. It's totally paradox. It's a paradox I really don't understand, because actually for many people I look younger than I am. Now not so anymore, but like 3 years ago I look way younger than I was. I looked like almost 10 years younger. People in when I met them in retreats or so, they're like, "What? Are you kidding? You look like 10 years younger." That was like 2-3 years ago. And now it's catching up to me, my bad sleep, I guess, or whatever it is. And still I wasn't getting any chance. It's like I know a woman that was looking at me like she was half interested, but they never make a move. It's literally, it's like they never make a move. It's really weird. I've never had that. It's really, really weird. It's like the attraction level is not big enough, I guess. Whatever. I get so triggered by relationship coaches who have a god complex and project their narcissism onto their clients. Yeah, that's what I agree with. That's what I mean a little bit. It's not only the narcissism, it could be other things. Like the only coach I really like is Julian, what is his name? Julian, the guy who was a pickup artist before. He's a kind of young. He has a family already with kids. Julian something. Julian here. I think it's called Julian here or something. Julian here is a pretty cool guy. I love his coaching sessions. I agree with a lot of stuff he does. A lot of stuff. But it doesn't change the fact, it's like it changes the fact how you feel about yourself, but it doesn't change your attractiveness level. For example, I've probably never been as confident and happy or peaceful. Happy is maybe the wrong word. Peaceful and kind of like I feel physically I don't feel so good, but I do feel good kind of. I don't know how to say it. Like spiritually maybe, soul wise. I feel really good. But it doesn't change at all. Actually, I feel that less women are attracted to me than before. So I feel like
financially I'm a little bit better off. I feel like soul wise I'm a bit better off. Spiritually I'm better off. But I actually get less and less feedback from women. Maybe it's my age. Why do you still like Andrew Tate? I didn't say I like Andrew Tate. He doesn't. Okay, finally. Hey bro, thank you. Girls not approaching a social norm. They're supposed to signal to and to act and you to act no. Yeah, but if they don't signal, if they don't even signal, the only signal that I have is don't fucking approach me. I remember there was a woman. She passed by here. I mean, women use proximity. I've been in pickup, by the way, was when I was 31 years old. I went out every night. I practiced my own pickup. I found out stuff that's not even in pickup books. I'm a pickup knowledge expert. I'm not saying I'm a pickup expert because I'm not that successful, but probably if I would have continued 2 or 3 years more, I would have become an absolute expert on pickup. But that was also out of frustration, partially, not complete, but partially, when I was 31. So there was a woman with two dogs. She came by here and she saw me and she left this direction. And instead of coming back this direction, she decided to go back another way. And I know 100% that she decided to go the other way in order to avoid me because women are like this if they're only partially interested. Only a partially interested. If they're like inclining to be interested in you rather than it's like a 50-50 thing, like you're on a scale and it goes like bam, and she's not interested, okay? She'll do whatever she needs to do to avoid you. And if she's like, if it's just a little bit like on the other side, she'll want to be in your proximity. She would have gotten back this way, and I would probably say, hello, how are you? And I notice this a lot. Like women go completely out of the way, except when they think I'm really rich or when I'm very well trained. Then sometimes I get a little bit signal, but it's usually not from the young girls. It's usually from the older women. Okay. Do women lose their libido after 40 or 50? Women lose their libido usually after like 52, 53, 46, 48. It's still there. Then menopause comes between 45 and 50, 45 and 55, depending on the woman. And then it starts to fall off. But usually most women until like 47 are still interested. Uh, I feel even that women around 40, 43 are extremely sexual. This is from my tantric experience. And they're very open to sexuality. They're really enjoying it. That's why a lot of times MILFs above 40 are actually more interesting. My girl is all cold as ice. She's 49. She's always been so. Really guess I'm odd one out with this girl. Well, it's I cannot say I don't know her. I cannot speak about people that I don't know. I can only speak about my own experiences. And the thing is like a lot of people will think, "Hey, I'm seeing this only from my perspective." But what they don't realize is that, I'm an energy healer. So I literally feel what the other person is doing and why they're doing it, and why they're feeling this. And there's something to be quite honest. I mean, I'm going to be super honest now. I think most women find me ugly. I really think that. It might not come over across like in a video. In a video, some girl might be here, in the comments, be like, "Oh, I find you attractive," but what's your market value? If you're a 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, that doesn't count that much. To be quite honest, I know it sounds horrible, but it's true. So if let's say your market value, you're over 60 and you're a woman, and your market value, I'm not saying you as a person, your market value is like 1 in 10 because most men don't want a woman at 60 years old. Then finding me attractive has absolutely no value. Ask a regular 20-year-old what she thinks about me. She'd be like, this fucking ugly dude, like, old guy, uninteresting, not even masculine enough. I can see you dressed nice in a polo shirt with some great perfume and not speaking too much, but bringing your authentic energy to the table and women melt for you. No, that's a lie. It just doesn't happen. You see, I noticed something super interesting when I went out a lot, where I was going out every night. You have to signal absolute insanity for them to be interested. So you have to be like, oh, I'm just writing a book, and you have to be kind of like passionate. But even then, it's not enough. It happened to me so many fucking times. So I had no problem to speak to a table of four women. Okay, I wasn't, shy or something like that when I was going out. And then I would kind of like, I would envelop them in my like charm. Okay, and everything was fine then. I'll give an example. Okay, so there was four women at a table. They were all a bit older, like mid late 40s, and I had them like I really had them like this. And then we decided to, a friend of mine was with me who was very boring at that time, but we all left to go to another bar. One of the women was, they were all very drunk at some point, and they were basically ready to be picked up and fuck with. It's literally like that. They went out for that purpose. It was pretty obvious to be picked up. So they were kind of happy about flirt and everything. I was pretty young. I was 32 maybe. And so, oh, young guy, okay, blah blah blah. So they start to make like a little bit sexual innuendos, jokes and stuff, and it was fun. And then we went to the other bar, and a tall guy, uh, Wait, I have to remove this spammer. And a tall guy comes to the drunk woman that I'm flirting with, of those four in the new bar, and she's like, "Oh, you're so tall." And after that, I've never seen her again in that evening. So we're three women. My friend goes home. Three women and me. We go to another bar. I flirt with this woman, with another woman of those three. Another guy comes along, nicely dressed, better looking, more masculine. He keeps speaking to her. She keeps speaking to him, and I'm just like on the side and like, and I wanted to sex with her, and I was like, just like, and at one point I was like, okay, this is shit. There was another woman that, of those three, that always looked at me like she was also a little bit interested, but she never made a move. Nothing ever. No fucking move. So then I leave, and um, then I leave because it's I literally feel stupid. So I leave, and she then I go home, and she left me her mobile phone number, and I text her, and I'm quite kind of honest, and I'm like, I would have loved to have sex with you. And she was like, oh, I would have liked as well. And so I'm like, okay. But we were already far apart because I was living in a different part of the city. And she was like, oh, she would have loved as well. Why did I leave? And I'm like, she was speaking to the guy the whole fucking time. Am I gonna be like a complete idiot and just wait like a poodle next to her? Make literally no sense. And she never made a move. She never showed me know that she's also interested in, and that confirmed something else. It confirmed something else, that she went out to get sex, and probably the guy talked to her, realized that he didn't want sex with her, so she left her, and then she went alone home and was able still to text. And it just showed that, women never make a move, at least not on me. And I usually then stand by the side like an idiotic poodle, like I said, and I'm not gonna accept that. So yeah, she could have touched me, flirted with me, laughed at me, whatever. Are you American? No, I'm Czech. Well, in that case, life should be pursued without women, just pursue more interesting things. That's, for me, is very hard to do, because I recognize in tantra massages, as well as, in life general, that my best moments in life have always been with women. Very rarely alone. Actually, almost never alone. I do enjoy, my traveling with van life and stuff like that. But I would say even with my ex-girlfriend, when we were in the van life, just in the van, just even for a few days, and she didn't complain or whatever, or she didn't have any trouble with something, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. So it's I enjoy life less when I'm completely alone. So I would love to be with a woman in a way. And I love sex. I love the intimacy. I love the tantra. Um, yeah, but it is what it is. ¿Puedes hablar en español? Sí. ¿Dónde puedo encontrar tus videos de masaje a mujeres? ¿Están borrados? Sí, están borrados. Los videos viejos, sí. Pero me encuentras en la Academia Española. Si te vas a James Steele Español. Ahí tengo James Steele Español y James Steele Español ASMR. I don't think you should directly ask for sex. You gotta play the game. I never asked directly for sex. Who said anywhere that I asked directly for sex? But, wait. Hold on. Correction. Correction. Let me correct myself because I said it the wrong way right now. I noticed, and this is something that I've learned over time. If you want something and you genuinely are interested and you can convey it in a genuine way, it's better to ask direct, maybe not right from the start, but once the person is hooked. So, when I speak to a woman at a bar, I used to be like this, and this is really, really bad. You're just like waiting it out. It's just basically almost the opposite of a resource mover. You're basically waiting it out, and then you're wondering why it's not going anywhere. You have to either you are very good in flirting, and if you're not, but you still have her hooked, at a certain point, you must be like, okay, I really like you. I want to be intimate with you. It doesn't have to be I want sex, not like this, but I want to be intimate with you. I would love to take you to my apartment. And if he says no, which at that point is probably is unlikely, if she says no, then you can be like, okay, I wish you a nice evening, and bye. Okay. And more often than not, she will say, yeah, I want to, especially if she's a little bit older. But if you're just hanging around like I used to do with 31, I noticed that also on Tinder and dating apps, when I send a lot of I would go even so far that women love it if you appreciate them even financially. That means if I were to go, I don't go in bars and clubs anymore. It's like the last place I would go. But if I were to go like when I was 31, I would start speaking to a girl, get everything running, and then very quickly, I mean, I already know before I go there, like determine, do I want sex or do I want a relationship? Or is it just like a small flirt and I leave? I'm usually not interested in small flirts and I leave. So I'm usually interested in sex or I'm interested in a relationship. If I recognize that I'm just interested in sex, I know this right before going there. So flirt with her a little bit, get the interest going, and then be like, I really would love to sleep with you, whatever, be super direct, genuine, super honest, and then be like, I find you so attractive that I would even give you something for it. You don't say like pay for it. I would give you, and he's like, what would you give me for? I mean, literally every woman would say like, what do you want to give me for? And then you have to offer something really like nice. Don't be like 50 euros or something like that, but be like, I would offer you, 300 euros for the night. And if she likes you just a little bit, she'll do it. She'll be happy because she gets the money, she gets great sex, and that's it. It's much, much better. I realize this as I get older. It's a normal woman. She's not a prostitute. I realize it's much, 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 much better than hanging around there, hoping something will happen, that she will make a move, that whatever, Or, and this is something somebody suggested here in the comments, what's wrong with celibacy? I mean, of course, you can be 10 years single and no sex. But if you enjoy sex a lot, I'm not a fan of incel. Like, I'm not a fan of involuntary celibate. Like, if you're a voluntary celibate, if you want it, sure, great. But if you don't want it, why would you, not? I mean, it's a very natural, beautiful thing to have intimacy. I know this from my tantra massages. The thing with my tantra massages is, I was even thinking if I will do them again or if I want to do them again. The thing with tantra massages is not that the woman is interested in you. She's not interested in the masseur in any shape or form. She maybe finds him attractive, whatever, but she's in a sense she's in a taking mode, receiving mode. She wants to pay for it. She doesn't want to worry about anything. She's receiving the massage. She's enjoying the massage. It's spiritual. She's growing, and at the end, if she really liked it, she really likes it. She's like, "Hey, let's have sex if you want. I would love to have sex with you." Happened to me a couple of times. Okay, then you do that, but that's it. It's never like the woman is really interested in you. Whereas in a bar setting, if you're flirting, she might be interested in you. It's just doesn't happen this way, unless you're again super attractive, like masseuses and stuff. Sean, wouldn't a woman therapist give some unique insight into that women want? No, Namaskaram, do you remember me? Not really. Sean, would a woman therapist give some unique insight into what women want? Women are inherently bad, and this is common knowledge, in telling you what they really act on. They might tell you what they want, but they act on something different. I remember I remember this is also guys, this is super interesting. It's like a lot of red pills, gold pills, black pills, whatever you want to call them, but they are real. This is not something made up. I was once the team of a company. God, I hated that company. But I was working at a company and we were like 20 people, 30 people. No, I think it was 40. And we had a bus and we took like a field trip. God, I hated these fuckers. And I hated all of them. Never knew why I stayed there for that long. Anyway, so we were in this nature thing, like blah blah blah, and it was like a restaurant kiosk kind of thing, and we were all sitting there, and there were two women also sitting there. They were like hikers or something, and they were watching over to our table. I'm telling you guys, there were several guys, like 50-50 men, 50% women. The women were kind of like MILFs, and I found them pretty attractive and interesting. They didn't even look once at me, not even once. And they looked at the tallest guy. I knew him because I worked with him very closely. At the tallest guy who looked the most masculine, who portrayed as almost as if he were like the chill high earner in the company, maybe even the boss or something like that. They were constantly staring over to him, and I knew that he fucked a lot of women in the company and also close, although he was married, but he had children also. But he did that. I know this for a fact, and totally know this for a fact. There was even a Russian girl that I wanted to have sex with. He had sex with her first. Anyway, so I was single at that time, like most of the time. And that just shows you how extremely superficial women are. Like, it has nothing to do with whether you look there or you ignore them. It's just about how you look. I had a female therapist who would cross the traditional boundary in that way, and it was an interesting peek into the world of women. I would offer to eat you out. You said it to her, or she's to you? I don't remember. I don't know. I'm sure a female one can do that just fine, but iron sharpens iron. Good point. Can you be nice and normal? I'm trying to have a pleasant what? Are you reading? That's actually a toxic metaframe. I'm gonna remove that. He's he sounds like ChatGPT anyway all the time. Are you reading Vigyan by Bhairav? No. Hey, yeah, they said and act differently. Please don't succumb to envy. It won't help. It's not envy. It's definitely not envy. I'm not envious of good-looking guys. Um, I understand that I would love to have the advantage as well, but I'm not envious. It's just like I'm not envious on Andrew Tate or rich people. Um, because, because deep down we all have the same problems, no matter how much success we have with women or don't. But it is a fact also that a lot of men say that their biggest joy is having children in life. And I don't have children. And I can't have children if I don't have a woman that's interested in me and loves me. I mean, I'm ready to do something completely different if I'm gonna be alive, 10 more years. I do have the idea, and I don't give a fuck what other people think. I do have the idea that if I'm like 47, 48, 49, something like this, and I still don't have a family and children, I'll probably just take the hardcore route. I'll just get a villa somewhere in the Caribbean or something like that, a house or something. Have a couple of girls move in with me that, are just superficial or something like that. Just impregnate them, have children, and that's it. And not think about love and nothing. That's kind of sad, but I think that I will do that if time keeps on rolling on, because eventually time runs out and I want to have the experience of having children. And you can impregnate a woman. You don't need to be in love to impregnate a woman, obviously. So I would then just get, a Philippine girl, an Asian girl, whatever, whatever is there. And it's very easy to get girls when you signal, you have resource movement ability. Then I would just do that. Um, Although they're not interested in you, but at that point, who gives a fuck? Kind of like that. I think I would be a very good father, actually. And that this is something super interesting. I think I would be a very good father. And this is something which makes life kind of ironic, paradox, and even like sarcastic in a way. Is if I would be such a good dad, why can't I find such a good woman? That's actually the most interesting question. If I would be such a good dad, why can't I find such a good woman? This is super interesting. And the only answer is because women don't give a fuck and they don't have intuition. Either they don't give a fuck or they don't have intuition. Actually, it can only be those two things. Either they don't give a fuck or they don't have the intuition. And I think it's kind of both a little bit. Would adoption be on the table? Absolutely not. Because when you're adopting, you are adopting completely different karma. You're not set up for that karma. You don't know anything about that karma. The child could be extremely problematic karmic wise, and you have absolutely no idea if it's your karma, kind of, or if it's your child. You know the karma. You feel the karma. You can deal with the karma. If it's a completely different child, it's totally different karma. Imagine like the trauma that their parents went through. I mean, I know these things from energy. Is imagine the trauma their parents had to give away the child or whatever, and their grandparents had, and so forth, and then maybe the karma, the from incarnation or something, and then you get that child into your place. There's no energetic control, you could say. Control is a bad word, but that's kind of what I mean. And when it's your child, it's literally like the child is born, and it works with your energy. It's like the same energy. You are basically creating a protective space of that energy. When it's an adopted child, you have foreign energy there. Okay, I think the Caribbean villa with concubines is the way at this point. Oh well. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be the only possibility. Like, because what am I gonna do? Am I gonna do like spiritual retreats and hope for the best woman to come along? You know, maybe life is also not set up this way. Maybe it's literally not what it's supposed to be. Maybe Maybe the perfect partner is just not out there. It doesn't exist. Not in this life, not in this incarnation, not in this society. Um, it's sad, but what are you gonna do? I'm not 20. I'm not 25. I'm not 30. I'm not 35. I'm 45. It's like time is running out. In that regard, I'm not gonna have children like Jeff Goldblum with 70 years old. That's bullshit. So yeah. Um, but I decided against seeing the Ecuadorian woman and the Venezuelan woman because it would be literally just sex, and I don't feel it at that point. I feel like more like I want some quiet space, especially after almost drowning yesterday. I feel like I need some chill days. Tomorrow I'll probably go um buy some groceries and chill a few more days here and just yeah, because I think that trauma from almost drowning, I think that I think that I didn't process that yet. I wasn't this morning I was starting to get aware of it, how close it actually was. And when you get out of the water, you don't recognize it. But it's very binary. Either you drown or you make it. I mean, there's no like in between. And I realized how close it was because I mean, but lots of people, like a friend of mine said, lots of people drown in lakes. They don't even drown. You don't even have to be in like the ocean to drown. Please stick around, Unity. Yes. Yeah, I told the story yesterday about drowning. Because the 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 surf teacher made a huge mistake. So I'll explain the situation very quickly, very shortly. So I met this guy here, Pablo, okay, in Valencia. He used to be 7 years sports teacher and a surf teacher. So he knows what he's doing. He brings me a neoprene wetsuit, blah blah blah. I put it on, blah blah blah. For second time in my life that I have it on. The other time was water rafting with 25 or something like that. So a long time ago. So it was completely new for me. We went into the ocean. We had about 1 hour of intense like training session. I was already exhausted. And then when it started, he pushed me all the time, like, try this, try this, try this. He didn't even give me breaks. Like, and I was super exhausted already because I'm not used to so much, water moving around and stuff like that. So, and then we were already a couple of 100 meters away from the beach. I didn't recognize how far we actually were away from the beach. It always looks much closer because most of the time, we were pretty close to the beach. And then we were suddenly far away, and I didn't realize it really. So, um, and he says at some point, okay, I'll bring the surfboard back, or I bring the board back because it's like board with a kite. It's like surfing but with a kite. It's not kite surf. It's not kite surfing. It's like surfing with a kite. It's different. So you're holding the kite. It's extremely exhausting. Anyway, so because you have to hold your balance and say it, super exhausting. Anyway, so he says, okay, you swim back, and I was like, I thought, okay, let's swim. And he left with the board, and I thought I'm gonna have the board, and he left with the board. And then at about 3/5, I'm also almost starting to get emotional because I realized how fearful I was at that time. So there is a trauma under it. So I'm gonna need like a week to really let it go, maybe cry out a little bit. So on 3/5, about 3/5 or 4/7 of the distance, I realize I don't have any power anymore, and I start to get pressure on the chest. And I wasn't used to. I don't know how it is swimming in a wetsuit or a neoprene. I don't know how you say in English. So I don't know how it was. So I had water in it. And you can't undress wetsuit in the water. You don't even want to because the water is cold. So I was like, the fuck. So I turn around about 3/5 of the distance. I turn around and I look over to Pablo, and I was like, Pablo, ven aquí, come here. And I scream. He doesn't hear me at all. He doesn't even turn around. He's going directly the other direction, and the wind was turning in a way that he couldn't even hear me. So I'm like, I'm fucked. Because I knew he wasn't coming. So I immediately turned around again towards beach, and I knew I don't even have to try a second time and waste energy there. Because that's going to put me even more into panic mode. So I turn on my back and I start to swim like frog style. I do like I know I'm very fast this way, so it's like I do like the frog kind of movements but I'm on my back, and then I do like a butterfly, but I'm on my back, so I'm going like this, right, with both hands at the same time. I know I get a lot of speed that way. I tried it many times in swimming pools, but I haven't swam for like over a year, and I wasn't, my fitness was down, and I was already exhausted from before, and I didn't have any calories in my body because I ate something like mijo, it's called mijo in Spanish, but I don't get really calories from that. And so I was out of power, and I get this pressure on the chest, and then I started doing this over and over again, and I felt like I'm not getting closer to the beach. And when I felt I cannot go any longer anymore, I was still so far away. And then I remembered the time in Portugal when I got lost with my e-bike and my GPS went off, and my phone shut down, and I was lost, and I had half a bottle of water. It was in the at noon in 40 degrees Celsius. And I remember that I was hyperventilating because I was very fearful. In Portugal, it's like if you're in the campo, in the nature, like, and there's no house, nothing, and you don't know which way to point, because I got lost once before, and if you don't know which way you're going and you fuck it up, you're done. And so I remember that, and I remember the first thing that I have to do is calm down. So I turn again on my back while I'm swimming, and I start to calm down, but I recognize, I'm still super aware that if the stream, I don't know what it's called. Like if the stream is pushing me out rather than to the beach, then I don't have and I was very, very lucky that I wasn't another 100 meters out, and that the water wasn't pushing me further out, because I wouldn't have had the strength. And literally with my kind of last strength, I ended up on the beach. And the thing is, like, what people have to recognize is that if you're completely exhausted, energy wise, and your body is in the cold water, and at the same time you're not used to that much cardio, your body could go on a strike like that. A muscle tension, not tension, what is it called, like cramp or something like that, and you're completely fucked. And yeah. So but there's a lot of things that you forget in that moment. It's like to take air, lie on your back, and just then let yourself float a little while. But I think you need experience for that. You need to test it in the pool and also with the neoprene, because I don't know how it's with the neoprene. It's definitely more difficult to swim. And yeah, so I think I would have been fine if we would have been a little bit closer to the beach, but we were pretty far out. And I wasn't really aware of it. And the thing also in front of Pablo, I didn't want to this is an interesting thing. I didn't want to be like a pussy and be like, "No, I need to be close to the board." You know? So I was like, "Yeah, I can do this. I can do this." Yeah. And then I realized, "No, I can't." Uh Dude, let me go back to the comments. I'm actually coming to Landes, Le Land. Maybe you could show me surfing. That would be awesome, because to I decided I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. Um I decided that actually that I'm not gonna. Pablo is a pro. Is almost like a pro surfer. He is has a very short board. He's like he knows what he's doing, and that's I think also why he pushed me that much. And so, but I gave him 100 euros actually for 2 sessions, twice 2 hours. But I decided I'm probably not gonna see him again because I think it's neglected. I think he neglected me as a student because he didn't know anything about me. He didn't know if I have the power to swim back. And even if like he was already gone, if he had decided to turn around to help me, he would have needed way too long to get me. And so many people drown in lakes and in it's especially in the ocean, it's not even funny. So yeah, I wasn't aware of the danger, to be quite honest. I'm just like registering it now. Me too. He's extremely intuitive and on point. And I think when he's in that headspace, he's very magnetic. Dude, the almost drowning would make anyone feel vulnerable. You definitely need some self care. And when you get back to a more centered place, yes. Are you with him or against him? Who? I could sense your energy completely 180 today. Self doubt, and I get it now. This is as an opportunity to bring up some gook and vulnerable energy, to resolve it, and come out like a phoenix. For me, it's kind of like just letting out that energy, not judging it, just letting it out. Like it's kind of like enfadar. It's kind of like an anger that I just let out. It's not a very strong anger. I just let it out, that energy. Because it's literally the thing is if you just sit in silence, but you have this unresolved energy in you, you're actually suppressing that unresolved energy. So that energy actually turns against you eventually. Yeah, I feel like the trauma of the drowning incident is affecting you right now. Be kind to yourself. Yeah, and I think a lot of times what happens is I need a lot of time to process things. So something might happen, whatever it is, relationship wise, whatever it is. And I always need a few days, sometimes maybe even a week, maybe even longer, to completely process it. And then I come out a different person. And when Pablo said, "Oh, today's gonna be wind, let's go today," I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I need at least 1 or 2 days between that." And especially to process also much more than just the lesson or the almost drowning. I need to process like everything around it. I even need to process Pablo's energy because he has a very specific energy as well. So, and now looking back on what happened yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Looking back to on yesterday, I'm like, okay, I actually don't. It's coming clear to me. I don't have to see him. I don't want to see him again. There's many other surf teachers that I can go with. I don't have to go with him, although he's very nice, but he's pushy for me. I want to have to be quite honest. I prefer to have the wetsuit and be the whole fucking day in the ocean, learn it on my own, even though it's frustrating, but I'll just do it in my pace, super slow, super chill, be the whole day in the ocean. No problem. I don't need someone who's pushing me and be like, okay, now you do this, now you do that. Okay, now you made this, but now you go even further. I don't need that shit. And it's a very low quality of life in my view. I think the high quality of life comes from just using it to it's not a performance sport for me. It's like enjoying what I'm doing in the flow, getting to know. That's the thing. That's the thing. He gave me the kite. We were still on the beach, and he gave me the kite and showed me how to deal with the kite. But he was extremely pushy and kind of not patronizing, but he was pushy. It's like, now you do this, now you do this, now you do this. But I knew, and eventually I learned very, very, very quickly. I've always learned very quickly. But the beginning for me is always like hard. But then at one point I get it. At one point, I started to really get the kite, like really feel it out, and how it's working with the wind. And he was then talking and telling me, do this now, do this now, do this now. And I realized I just need like half an hour on my own and just play with the kite and the wind. and I'll completely figure it out probably better than he ever did, but not in the stress situation that he's pushing me. That's also what happens a lot in schools, I guess, with especially with talented people, talented students or something. They get pushed in directions that are not really good for them. Anyway, so I realized for me it's probably the best. I mean, see, it has something to do with talent and intelligence. The thing is, I was almost getting ready to become a pro golfer when I was 30 years old. I every day I cut off two more shots on an 80-hole course because I was autodidact, I was self-learning, and I was literally analyzing everything about my shot. I was getting every day better and better and better, 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 and I was literally improving like at light speed in comparison to others. Literally every second day that I went out on the 18-hole course, I would shave off another two, you know, uh points. And and I never had a teacher. When I was young, I had a teacher, but and I realized like a lot of people are not able to do this because they're not able to self-analyze that way. They're not used to being autodidact and really learn this shit. So I was like, maybe because I met two guys from Rip Curl who are not pro surfers, but they're longtime surfers. And Rip Curl, you know, this huge brand, surfing brand, uh, snowboarding brand. They basically they told me, hey, get a teacher right from the start. Never do it on your own. You're gonna save so much time. But they're speaking from their perspective. They're not speaking from my perspective. So I'm guessing that if I use YouTube, if I use, that's how I learn golf, and I use, all the information that is out there, read and stuff, have my own board, have my own wetsuit, and just go out there and enjoy a long time in the water, I'm gonna figure this shit out, and I'm probably gonna figure it out much quicker than all the other dudes. And this is something that I often don't realize because everybody, just like the Rip Curl guys and everybody else said, trust me, take the teacher, take the teacher, take the teacher, you're gonna save so much time. And then they say, I wish I would have taken the teacher much sooner. But I look at these guys and it's like they're not as bright as me. They're probably also not as talented as me. They're just like regular guys. I know it sounds horrible to say that, but it's like I've learned 7 programming languages on my own and tons of other things. Like uh and I remember I was in a tournament, in a golf tournament, when I self-taught myself, and I was playing like I had my last tournament was like handicap 28, so that was a long time ago. And then after training, I played like an 8 on that tournament, and the people were like, no way, fuck, he's lying. He's like totally lying. And I got there on my own without a teacher, and I think I'm probably not as aware of my own capabilities as I should be. What's interesting is that it doesn't translate to having more success with women. And I think the reason is because women actually, they're not so much interested in your talents or your capabilities. They're just interested in results. I think they're just interested in how you compare to other guys. So they don't want the talent, they want the result. And or fame or whatever it is. And well, it makes also sense resource movement wise, because just because you're a good golfer doesn't make a resource mover, obviously. Um okay, that was a tangent. But yeah, so I think instead of, it almost cost me my life to trust this Pablo. Very simple. And probably if I'm on my own with my own board, I'm not going to risk my life. I'm going to go super nice, just a whitewash, kind of like waves for a long while. Just enjoy, getting up on there and trying it. over and over and over and over again until I start to get the feeling of what this is about, and then I'll go like very quickly. And I even think like I'm a pattern recognition guy. So I think I noticed, for example, I was watching some surfers in Cadiz, and I was watching the waves, and because I learned from a pro surfer. I met two girls that are where their father's pro surfers and they have been on their boards forever. And the girls told me, good surfers, they sit down on the beach and they just watch the waves half an hour. They don't immediately go into the ocean. They watch the waves and see what's going on to learn the waves. And so I did that for a while, watching other surfers. And I realized, just watching them, I realized they're picking the totally wrong spot to surf. There was like just over there, you get the perfect waves. And that's me as a beginner. And so I think I should do something like that. Yeah. The only problem is I don't have really space for a surfboard, so I need to just lend it, borrow it, basically. And but I told this Pablo. I think one thing is really great about our session yesterday. It really made me wish and desire to do more water sports because it's if nobody else is in the like in Cadiz there was nobody else in the ocean. It's very safe. I mean, if your board is with you and you get fitter, and the more you do it, the more fit you get anyway. Uh, then it's a pretty safe sport, unless there's many other people there or the waves are too high or something like that. But the small waves in Cadiz, and I think I could imagine myself getting a board like that and driving over to Cadiz again. And I could, of course, in Leland, but Leland, the problem in southwest France is that the waves are much bigger. You have to be better. It's not for beginners a lot of times, and it's extremely full. There's so many people there. I'm sure there's spots where you can be without people. Jamil probably knows this. I'll talk to him about this. But if we find a spot where nobody else is, perfect. Um, I wonder how I can get a board into this camper van. I wonder if it's possible. No idea. Okay, signing off for now. I have to eat something.